Hi there, thank you so much for being interested in my work. In this video I share with you my techniques and tips on how I created this study of plaited hair, working on 3 steps: outline, stroke underdrawing, rich colour stage and the detail stage. Be sure to watch it right through till the end because here and there I'll be slowing things down in real time so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. Just running through the outline pretty quick, just using those quarter squares just for an idea of where things are, using imaginary angles, looking at it as shapes, comparing one shape with another, holding the pencil at distance as well from the point to create nice loose marks. Now I use a Faber-Castell kneadable eraser as well, so I put a mark down, then adjust it, and then just keep doing that, so you're almost like sculpturing the marks into the position you want them to be. And be very loose to start with. It's a bit of guesswork, but then you get more and more accurate as you carry on. And once you're happy with those loose marks, you can tighten things up then and put in a little bit more detail in, because the more you can do at this stage, the easier it'll be on the following stage, which is the underdrawing. Now the colours for the underdrawing, these basically what they're going to be, some for the skin tone, some for the hair. Basically the hair is going to be yellow ochre, brown and white, just keeping it very simple, just drawing it out and then glazing over with these colours here, just to give an idea of form. And now for the background, using 110, starting off by using the Faber-Castell kneadable eraser to ghost the image there, just take the excess grey off the outline. Then the background, just roughly putting that in. It's going to be very quickly shown, this under drawing, because I want to spend more time with the rich colour stage and the detail ones with a lot more real time. So basically all you're doing is you're getting your brown and white in there, making the shapes, then just glazing over a burnt sienna, yellow ochre, bit of blue in places if it's a greeny colour. The flesh tint there, just using brown, blue and red, just basically just putting it in, just getting an idea of form. All the underdrawing is to get the shapes in the right place. So what you're doing is mapping out all the areas, so the more you can do, the more accurate you can be at this stage, the easier it'll be when you start putting the rich colours on. It all creates a nice sort of surface to work on as well, because you're filling up that tooth a little bit, so it makes the richer colours go on a lot smoother, so they're not less grainy. So I'm not interested in getting the value right, the chroma right, all the colours. It's just a basic idea of where things are. I'm having a play with the colours. You can have a little play, see what's needed, but I will need lemon yellow to get this to glow, which I'll show you in the rich colour stage. But just enjoy the play and the freedom of just moving all these shapes around, and just be, you know, suggestive. You don't have to be exactly the same, but the closer you can get, the better it'll be, because you've got something then to follow, and then you're not too random with it. It just makes it more relaxed when you start putting the rich colour stage on, if it's a similar sort of shape and that. But you don't have to be exact. It's not hyperrealism, it's just my interpretation really at the end of the day. Right, for the rich colours I've broken them down into the brands, so that's the Contier Paris pencils, these are the Caran d'Ache pencils I'll be using, and the Carbothello ones. With the rich colour stage, it's all about blocking in the colours in a more vibrant way, getting the value right, the chroma, the temperature. All the tension has been taken out of it because you've got a roadmap now, because what you've done previously on the underdrawing, it makes it a lot easier. And all you're doing is adding to the pigment, putting more richer colour down, and creating that more vibrant feel to it. So I worked on one spot to start with, just to get a feel for what's needed to be done. You usually find if you just work on one or two areas, then the rest of it becomes easy. So you just get familiar with what needs to be done. Now the deeper shadows are cooler colour, because if there's a warm light shining on the subject, you usually find that the shadows are cooler, but then you've got reflected light, so it's a bit subtler than that. But I tend to use like a cold red and a blue in most of the shadows in this one. Now loads of different colours in blonde hair. This area is like a greeny, bluey colour. So what I'm doing here is using the flesh tint 5% to start with to get that sort of really brightness. It's only a yellow ochre mix, put that down, and then just glaze over yellow ochre and olive green to create a sort of greeny bluey feel, and then go over again with white. Now here I'm using the Faber-Castell white because it's really fresh and this part is really vibrant, so I'm putting that down first, light pressure where it's mid-tone, more pressure where it's really highlighted, and then glazing over them with the burnt sienna and other colours. If you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Now this area, you've just got to get a feel for the actual shimmering of it. Putting that white down, glazing over burnt sienna, putting the darks in there just to give it a bit more depth, bits of blue here and there, using that flesh colour number 5%, also 10%, and flesh tint I'm using as well, all these different colours, just to create that richness, then glaze over the top. It's the glazing over the top that gives it the realism, but to give it that sort of glow, you need to put that rich, vibrant colour underneath. So when you put your colours over the top, that vibrant colour shines through. So that's the key thing for getting this shimmer, is to add the white, the rich colours in the Caran d'Ache range, and glaze over them with the other colours. Just like to take this opportunity to thank all my patrons for their wonderful support every month. I can't thank you enough, it means the world to me. If you're considering joining me on Patreon and would like the benefit of longer, slower and more in-depth video, please check the link in the description below for more details. The videos I put on now are all in real-time audio, real-time video, so you get a real in-depth look at how I create these studies. So be sure to check out the link in the description below after you've watched the video. Now with pastels you have to use black sometimes just to get the depth. Normally I use brown and blue, but sometimes that can't get the depth I'm needing. So I add that black, but always add something with the black, because black on its own is a bit dead. So just to add the life to it, just add a colour into it, and then just go over them with the white and subtle it all up here and there. So it's just a case of getting that black in and then just build it up with colours over the top of it. Just to repeat what I said earlier, this is just a blocking still. All the details I'll show you with a lot of real time later on in this video. It's just a block in just to get that idea of the value and the chroma. There's no point putting loads of detail in if you haven't got that colour right, so I always leave that till the end and get the overall feel of it then. So it's just a case of just getting everything in place and getting that sort of feeling before adding the details. Just slowing it down to real time now, because here I added too much pigment and it created a flat colour. So what I tend to do is just dab it with the Faber-Castell kneadable eraser, and it'll lift off all the pigment off the tooth of the pastel mat, and then you can start again then. Yeah, you always need to keep a little bit of tooth so you can actually, put the details over your pigment you've put on. I'm using a Faber-Castell white here, but I'm adding a little bit of lemon yellow with it, which creates more of a bright, fresh feel to the white. White is like black. If you put it down on its own, it's a bit dead, so always add a little bit of colour to the white as well. Just showing you the colours I'll be using for the flesh tint here. Adding the Faber-Castell first, the white, because you need to get that sort of freshness underneath the pigment you put on the top, so you get that white down first. Then I'm using red and also green for the shadows to desaturate the skin tone. Adding the different types of skin tone pencils from the Caran d'Ache, the 5%, 10%, or the just flesh tint, adding those in, then smoothing it over with a cotton bud, putting a bit of lemon yellow in to give a bit of a zinginess to it, and then generally just playing, moving things around, getting a little bit of texture in there. Just generally preparing it for when I put all those wisps of hair over the top of it. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? It would mean so much to me, as this would help the channel to grow. Just be suggestive, it's your interpretation at the end of the day. With the flesh tint, I tend to use little small circles to get the texture, using the green to desaturate, and it's all preparation for what I'm doing now, is putting all those little fine wisps of hair over the top of it. Now I needed a subtle colour for here, so I've used a grey, which is like a browny grey, and that worked pretty well. And then you could always change the colour of that later on, but just being free with these marks and being suggestive is the ideal thing to do, really, and keep it free flowing rather than sort of trying to get everything exactly the same, because you don't want anything to stand out, too much details in certain areas. It all needs to feel as one, so when you look at it, it just feels like fresh air, not details. So just be ever so sort of free flowing with it. As promised early on in the video, here's the real time now for the details. So to get that shimmery look, what I've done here is just put little bits of broken areas of brown just to indicate different shadows and flecks. It just gives it that texture, you see, rather than one continual line. Same here with the white, just little broken bits of light, because air really has got little shimmery bits on it. It's not just one stroke. So I'm just taking my time with it, and then there's areas that like flyaway hair that goes in different directions. I'm putting those in, and then just adding a little bit of glint here and there. Now, it can be difficult to sharpen pencils, so what I tend to do is use a knife look and just chamfer the point of it. So you're just chafing the lead part of the pencil rather than the wood, so you can keep turning it and just moving your blade, and that does the trick. It creates an edge then, so you can use the side of your pencil and keep turning the pencil over to find a new edge. Now, to get that freshness of the white, sometimes you need a little bit of Rembrandt stick I use, soft white it is, and then just put little specks of that white down and just move it with your pencils then, and then you can just blend it with a bit of a earbud or cotton bud. Now, when I do these little wisps and flyaway hairs, I tend to be really relaxed and just let your movements just happen. Just be really spontaneous and free with it, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same as the reference, and just create your own sort of feel to it. So be spontaneous. It doesn't do the trick, it makes it look more natural then, and just enjoy moving these things around and having the freedom to make your own up. Now, with the areas where the hair has created a shadow, I've just used burnt sienna and olive green. It just seemed to do the trick. If you're interested in knowing how I create skin tone shadows, there's a free class for you. The link is in the description below if you're interested. Absolutely free, you're welcome to it. Now, some areas are really glowy, so I use the lemon yellow with the burnt sienna, which creates a gold, and then just keep going over with your lighter colours down, creating those wisps and flyaway hair. Now here again, I'm breaking this block of light here by putting a bit of brown in, so creating those flecks. Very light pressure, don't press on too much, just let the tooth of the pastel mat take the pigment off the pencil, and then just go over them with the Faber-Castell to get that shimmering look, and then just keep playing with it really until it starts to look what you're looking for. Just a few words to say how I approach details. I just let the details just happen. It's a weird sensation. I just let go, allow that reference image to come into me, into my heart, and draw it from there. And I just let the movements just happen then. I don't try and draw every detail the same. I just relax and just let these movements just go where they want to go, and you'll get instinct to know what to do. You just pick up the colour pencil you need, and it'll just be the right combination. It's just a matter of having faith and letting go of control. The more you can let go of control, the more the creative energy will start to sort of flow, and then you'll enjoy it more, because you'll be like swimming in bliss, really. That's how it feels when you're doing this sort of thing, when you let the mind go and just concentrate, well, just focus on being in the moment, in your heart. Now, when you start putting the colours down, they can be a little bit rich. You have to desaturate it with the sort of complementary colour. So I've used the burnt sienna there, so I've used a bit of green with the burnt sienna just to knock it back a little bit in places. I'm just sliding this down now to real time so you can see how I'm doing these flyaway hair. I've chafed the point of the pencil again, and just get a movement, get a feel for the movement first, and then really lightly place the pencil onto the pastel mat. The tooth of the pastel mat will do all the work. It'll just take the pigment off where it needs. Very, very lightly does it. If you press on too much, you'll get too much of a thicker line. And then what I do then is just go around putting little bits of highlight here and there, just to get that sort of flicker, shimmery look. At this point of the study, I'm actually looking at the whole thing, trying to get a balance of how the energy feels. I'm trying to draw energy rather than detail, because the personality of the person is still shining through the hair, so I'm connecting to that and feeling it and letting it flow. So I'm just letting these details just happen, and then you get a feeling then that it's just fresh air rather than details. Thank you so much for watching the video right till the end. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have done, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It would mean so much to me, as this would help the channel to grow. Like I mentioned in the video, if you just see it as shapes, movement, and don't get too wrapped up in how long it takes you to do it, you know, just be in the moment. That's where the power is. So, fascinating one to do. I've really enjoyed it, especially when you've got a lot of chroma like this. Now, if there's any questions at all, please leave a message in the comment section below this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But in the meantime, if you'd like to see more of my work, please check out this video here. Take care. Bye.